For today's video, I decided to do a Shoebill Stork and I wanted to play with the charcoal brushes in Procreate 5. So I'm first going in with my usual peppermint pencil brush, which is from the sketching tab. It's just the one that I always use at the moment. And I'm just blocking in the general shape of the stork. This part is supposed to look messy. I like this sketchy look and I will often actually leave the lines in as I move through the painting. I just really like the rough look, but it does really help to start as loose as possible and refine as you go through. I used to draw in the opposite way. I used to pick a spot in the drawing and move outwards, usually the eye or the nose or something like that, something very prominent. The problem with that is if you get the proportions wrong, you've already put too much detail into going and alter it. But if you sketch out a really loose sketch initially, and you realise the beak is too long, the head is too low on the body, it's much easier to save it at that point and rectify it than if you'd done the whole head and then realised actually that beak is way too big. It's just so much harder to correct. At this point you'll have seen me do a couple of different swatches. I literally just draw a line usually through the artwork, especially if I'm erasing, to see the thickness and the texture. So the initial lay down of black and shadow was done with carbon stick, and then you saw me do a darker layer which is charcoal block. It's just a little heavier. I'm using that to darken up the shadows and the dark patches on the body. The erasing that I'm doing near the face, obviously you can do this as a white layer. I just use the erase tool. The great thing about the erase tool in Procreate 5 is you can actually change the type of brush that the eraser is. So in this case, I was using the charcoal brushes, so it made sense for me to change the eraser to the charcoal brush. That way you're maintaining the same texture throughout, and that way the piece is just more consistent. Even the harsh lines that I'm adding in now, those are still the same brushes. All I've done is take the size of the brush way down, so this will be charcoal block and carbon stick, just in a much finer brush. As I now go in and start to work areas of light into the piece, I go back to a tool that I've mentioned before. Squinting at the piece removes the detail because your eyes can no longer focus on the detail, so it removes that and allows you to just focus on areas of light and dark and general shape. This is perfect for getting the right values in your piece. Now I did want to allude to the feathers in this piece, obviously it being a bird, but I didn't want to get bogged down too much into the detail. What I just wanted was a general idea that the feathers and the layers were there. I wanted the face to be the main focus, and the way to do that in a drawing is to create the most detail where you want the eye to go. You want contrast, you want the viewer's eyes to be drawn to where you want the focus to be, and detail and contrast is the best way to do that. So I will go back to the face and I'll add in even more detail from here, but at this point I'm just alluding to the feathers. I'm still using the erase brush and I'm still using it in the format of one of the charcoal brushes that I was using before. I've just taken the size way down again. So I mentioned before adding some more detail in the face, and that's what I'm doing now. Again, using the eraser brushes as a charcoal tool. The dark patches that I'm putting in now are again with the carbon stick and the charcoal block, taken very fine, almost pencil fine. I really wanted the dark lines now to be as dark as other areas of the piece, so it's balance again. If you've got that very dark patch at the bottom of the wing, you need that level of darkness in the face as well, otherwise the eye is going to be drawn straight to that dark patch on the wing. And again, we wanted the focus to be in the face where the detail is. This piece came about as part of my lockdown intentions to keep up my creativity. I like to mention how I get to the idea of a piece, because I know that mental block, artist block, is something a lot of people suffer from, myself included. I found at the moment that Instagram is actually one of my best sources of inspiration. I was just scrolling through and came across a really great charcoal artist that I was admiring throughout the day, and I happened upon a picture of this species as well, and I was like, this with its grey tones, it's not a very colourful bird, I was like, this would work perfectly as a charcoal piece. Now I do have lots of charcoal and graphite that I could have done a traditional piece with, but I am focusing on trying to do a mix of digital and traditional art, and Procreate is something I'm still fairly new to. I think it's about a year now that I've had my iPad and Procreate, so I don't have a lot of experience, and it's something I'm really interested in getting a lot more experience in. so this was perfect for that. If there's a particular set of brushes or a tool in Procreate that you don't understand or you're interested in learning more about, want to see me practice with, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to do that in the future. I actually just recently treated myself to a purchase of some brushes that aren't default to Procreate that I've had my eye on for quite some time. So one of the next videos will definitely be me using those. I've just got them and I'm already in love with them. Just to quickly mention though, nothing I do is sponsored. Everything that I use I've paid for myself. The iPad, all the tools, brushes, anything I use is just stuff that I have, stuff that I enjoy using. I'm not plugging anything in particular. Maybe you draw in Photoshop, maybe you have a Wacom. I'm not plugging anything. I'm just trying to talk you through my process and hoping that you guys get a few skills, a few techniques that you can translate to however you want to create artwork. And on that theme, this wasn't a huge project that I had in mind. This didn't have a purpose. I literally poured a glass of wine, put on some nature documentaries and played with this for about an hour. It's not a major piece, it's not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out and I enjoyed it, and that's all that really matters. If you also enjoyed watching this come to life, let me know with a like, let me know you were here. If you have any suggestions of something else you'd like to see from me, let me know in the comments. And if you just really like my artwork, I would love you to subscribe. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you again next time.